Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Grips Archery. As promised, today we are going to do the second video on the new PSE Omen. So my thoughts on it so far are pretty positive. The draw cycle is not bad for a bow that is touted for the speed that it produces. You would expect it to be very dramatic, very rough kind of draw, but it's really not that bad. With a little bit of time with the bow, you kind of anticipate where that rollover is, and instead of just coming back and letting it crash, you kind of ease your way into it, and it's not what I would call silky smooth, but it's very manageable. It is really not that bad at all. And I will say that it holds very, very well. So I'm out here today. I have this set up as if I were going to shoot 3D with it, and I'm shooting a CBE Engage with a single 10,000th up pin, and I have no lens. I'm not a big user, not a big fan of the lens. Yeah, it magnifies the target, but it also magnifies my unsteadiness. So as of right now, I'm not shooting a lens in it, but I did take this sight off of the bow I shot last summer, or well, this summer, but last competitive season, and that was my Supra RTX. Great bow. That bow is silky smooth, and speed-wise, it is no slouch. But if we look, the sight tape, the sight tab that I have, if you can see that, is #1 on this bow, and #1 is as tight as these yardage marks can go. They will not, there is no zero, as a matter of fact. But the tab that I had on this sight that was on the Supra this past season was a 9. So I jumped from a 9 to a 1. And so the question is, how fast is it? Well, I did a few shots through the Chronograph, and let's switch gears and go to that video right now. All right, so here we have the Chronograph set up. Going to shoot 3 arrows over it. The bow now is set at 63 pounds of draw at 29-inch draw length. So not your typical IBO setup for IBO speed. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have. This first arrow is coming in at 577 grains and change. Let's see what it does at 63 pounds, 29-inch draw. Okay, not bad. Let's go to arrow number 2. We're gonna go, everything is the same except the arrow is gonna get lighter. This one is coming in at about 482 grains. We'll take a look at its speed. Okay, not too bad for that arrow weight and 63 pounds. Now, let's go to the 3D arrow. This is one that I set up a while back. This one tips the scales at 336 grains, so we are IBO legal. Watch this. Wow, there we go. That's pretty fast. Again, just so we're clear, this is a 29-inch draw bow. This is not, IBO has a longer draw length, and, they really push the edge at 70 pounds, 350 grain arrow. I'm at 29-inch draw and I have some room to play with a 336 grain arrow at 63, 64 pounds. You know, I could go 65 pounds and drop some arrow weight to go 325. So technically 336, I'm good to 67 pounds. So, I mean, that's really pushing the edge, but I really don't see the need to really push it that much. I'm happy with 343 feet per second. All right, so let's go ahead and do some more shooting. All right, so we've talked about the draw cycle. We've talked about how the bow performs as far as speed goes. I mentioned a little bit about its shootability and its hold so far. I don't have any issues out of it. I think it holds and shoots as well as I can hold and shoot, at least. The one thing that I'm on the fence about is that rubber grip. I may take that off and try it without. I'm sure, you know, you get rid of that grip, that'll lengthen the brace height a fraction of an inch. I don't really think it's definitely not going to change the effectiveness of the bow. I don't think it's going to change the draw length enough that it'll be too long. Again, it'll just be something I'll have to experiment with. But for right now, let's see. I'm at 45 yards, and I've got the little dots, the little 3/4 inch dots. Got the 1.5 inch and the 2.5 inch dot right in the middle. So let's see if let's try to shoot on one of the 1.5 inch dots and see what kind of group we can put together here. So I need to put it back in the press and roll that peep, but for now I'll just do it the hard way. It looked like it was right at the bottom of that little dot, or that little 1.5 inch, 1.75 inch dot on the bail. I'll take that. That one was a little low when it went off, and naturally it is low, so that one was on me. Let's see if I can get one to break a little better. I know that 1.5 inch, 1.75 inch dot at this range, my pen totally covers it up. So I'll take that into consideration with no lens. Ooh, that, I believe I smacked my first one. So either I better pull those arrows or start shooting at a different dot. So that, at 45 yards, I'll take that. I got arrows smacking together at that range. And, you know, on the IBO course in my class, 45 yards is supposed to be the max range. So I'll take it. And if they do what they like to do and give you that approximate 45, and they throw one out at about 46.5 or 47 yards at 343 feet per second, fairly confident that those 2 yards aren't going to make a whole lot of difference in my point of impact at that speed. So I think I'll have to do a little more tweaking, but I think that's going to be the one I'm going to go with. and based on that group right there, had that one that broke low, but those other two should be right there. So actually, let's go walk up and take a look. All right, so here we are at the bale again. Took 3 shots from 45 yards. This is the dot I'm shooting at, which is 1.5 inches, maybe 1.75 inches. But as you can see, it's really not much bigger than the tip of my thumb. So not a real big dot for 45 yards and no lens. As I said back there, my 10,000th fiber optic covered that whole dot. So of the 3, here was the first one. One of these was the first shot. Here was my second shot, and the other one of these was my third. So this one's on me. It was a little low when it broke, but those 2 I felt good about. And as you probably saw and heard on the video, kind of rattled the other one. So I might have even hit the back end and dinged that bushing a little bit. But like I said, as long as I do my job, that Omen will shoot. It's not something that I think is an overly critical, really tough, hard bow to shoot. It shoots very well. And as I have said many times, I'm sure it shoots better than I do. So as long as I do my part, I have every confidence that that Omen will do its part. Let's go inside the AC and talk a little bit about it in a little more comfort. All right, guys, I had to switch it up a little bit. It was hot out there. Now we're down in the cool, air-conditioned comfort of the basement here at Grips Archery. I had to change hats. It was the old fueled hat was getting pretty saturated. So anyway, my take on the new Omen is so far I am impressed. It shoots very well. The draw cycle is aggressive, but nothing that I can't handle. Nothing that I think really any archer or bow hunter or both could handle. Like I said, with a little bit of practice, you can anticipate that rollover. It's not that abrupt, but if you know it's there, you can get ready for it. The efficiency of the bow, I think, looking at those chronograph readings, that speaks for itself. I mean, a 577 grain arrow at 63 pounds and 29-inch draw, coming in at just a tick over 260 feet per second. I don't know off the top of my head what the kinetic energy would be for that, if you're into that kind of number, but it's going to be pretty substantial. Actually, let's take a minute and look. Let's go right to my KE chart. All right, let's take a peek at the kinetic energy chart here. And we have our velocity on top. We have our arrow weight down the side. And of course, I'm sure we all remember from physics class that kinetic energy is 1/2 the mass times velocity squared. So this chart, as you can tell, doesn't quite have all the numbers we need. So that light arrow coming in at below 350 grains, and this chart only goes to 305 feet per second. So who cares? That's just all I want that arrow to do is stick into foam. So I don't care about the kinetic energy on it. But let's take a look at that second arrow. So that second arrow came in at about 290, and I believe its weight was about 480 grains. So we just follow that down to 480, and that's coming in at just under 90 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. That's going to do the job. Let's go here. We go to the bottom of the weight scale. We're only at 500 grains at 260 feet per second. That's 75. But we carry that on down to a 575 grain, if the chart went down here further. My guess is we're going to continue on, if you see this coloration, into the 80s. So this angle is going to bring us down, say down to about in here. So my guess is that without sitting down and changing this old spreadsheet or actually typing in the numbers, my guess is we're going to be somewhere around that high 80s in foot-pounds of kinetic energy. And of course, the Newtonian physics tells us that we add weight, we get a heavier arrow that is going to have not just the kinetic energy, but it's going to have the momentum or inertia, and is going to want to keep on going after it hits something. So that's going to be one of those setups that I believe will probably be capable of taking just about any hoofed animal here in North America. So just my opinion, but that seems to be a pretty lethal setup. So based on those numbers, as incomplete as they are, that'll get the job done. So just to give you an idea of how it's performing. To go back with it again, I talked about its speed, and we saw that 3D arrow at 340 plus feet per second. That is a much flatter trajectory, and I talked about the difference in tabs. So I'll try to show this on camera here, but here is the number 9 sight tab for that CBE Engage. And if I hold it next to the number 1, you can see how much tighter the number 1 is over the number 9. And hopefully you can tell that the 40-yard, the 50-yard mark on the number 1 lines up with the 40-yard mark on that number 9. And I was able to dial 40, stand at 50, and drop arrows in on the target. And that right there, I 3D'd with that Supra, the RTX, and it was a great bow. I didn't have a great year last year, but I put up some decent numbers from shoot to shoot. And I really think that because I didn't get to practice the yardage as much as I have been in the past, that was one of the reasons why I wasn't real happy with a lot of my scores. But I think that tightening that yardage margin is going to make a difference for next year. So I know we're on the verge of starting our hunting season. And I mean, Kentucky's going to start here. This is late August. Kentucky is going to start here real soon. And some of the states out west have opening days in September and whatnot. But I'm anxious to get that thing on the 3D course for next year. But if you're looking for a hard-hitting hunting bow, you wanting to get that heavy arrow going quick, I think that Omen is going to fit that bill. So if you're in the market and you want a fast, shootable bow, then I would give the PSE Omen, the 2022 Omen, a good hard look. I think it will surprise you. So as always, guys, thanks for watching Grip's Archery. I'm Grip, down here in the basement shop. If you like what you saw, tell a buddy, tell a friend, have them go give it a watch. Give me a like and a subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, so why not give it a shot? Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.